Hello, everybody, and welcome back to AICon USA 2025, here reporting from Seattle, Washington. And continuing with the adventures here at the conference, again, this is not the official first day of the conference, it's the unofficial second, not yet the official first. Tomorrow is going to be the official first, so stay tuned so that you learn more about the AICon USA. Here with me, I have another special guest who is also participating here at the conference. We have our friend Bob Rapp. Bob, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, Leandro?
Very good. Very energized and happy to start unofficially in this conference and to have you here willing to come and share with the audience a little bit of what is going on here, what is your participation, and so on. But before we dive deeper into matters, would you mind sharing with the audience who, for the ones that do not know you, who you are, what do you do, what makes you special?
Well, thanks, Leandro. And by the way, I'm excited to be here in Seattle. This is my kind of my stomping ground. It's a beautiful. It's about 80 degrees outside, and it's sunny. This happens every day.
This is my weather here.
Yeah, just
Not usual.
not every day in a row. So I work for General Motors. And as our CEO would say, we make vehicles for people, and we're happy when they're happy they buy them. We work on having safe experiences for them, zero emissions, and delighted customers so they come back. And I work in what is called the AI Center, or Center of Excellence, and I work across GM with my colleague Ian Gibbs and Brian Ames, and we are data scientists. But we work across the whole company with we have a new leader of artificial intelligence who just came to us from Cisco and Google, Barack, very cool guy, really excited about that, just joined a few months ago. And our team works for a guy named John Francis, who I think was just listed as one of the top 100 data scientists in the world. Pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's from Starbucks and Nike, and so he's been at General Motors for a while. But my team is called the Data Science Team, and our job is to make everybody's life better at General Motors, the employees, our partners, our customers. And with generative AI, we have a lot of opportunity to do that, but we do have a few challenges because it's maybe not quite perfect yet. So you probably knew that, though, Leon.
Yeah. We've seen some of the kerfuffles happening around AI in general, or AI cars embedded with AI and these type of situations. I'm sure those are some of the things around the ones that you're working with, right?
Well, and Leandro, kerfuffle might be the word of the day. That's a pretty good word, kerfuffle. I like that.
I don't know where I got it from.
It's good. I like the word. Kerfuffle is now officially, if you say kerfuffle, you get a free cup of coffee. So, well, I think the interesting thing is, so I've spent my life in data science at Microsoft and IBM. I was a vice president on the Watson team, and I came into the Watson team to try to fix some things that were broken. And Watson became very famous for playing chess and Jeopardy, but a lot of things we did at Watson were bad data science. We made a lot of mistakes because we didn't it was very early days, right? And so between Microsoft, then I went to VMware and IBM. I was a CIO for GE Healthcare, actually here in Seattle, where we shipped some of the first AI algorithms to help diagnose certain kinds of cancer. So I've been in this space for a long time, but here's the interesting thing. When's the last time you used ChatGPT? Was that today? Or did you use a different tool today?
I haven't been near a computer like hammering that type of stuff, but yesterday, let's say, I was.
Yesterday, and what did you use it for, Leandro? Did you write a script or respond to email or do a PowerPoint or?
Well, not necessarily ChatGPT. AI?
Yeah, like, AI, yeah.
We have it on the Android phone with Gmail, that review. I pulled it yesterday to hey, can you check if I wrote this well? Because I was quickly with the thumbs and
got it.
Prone to mistakes.
And so, yeah, in OpenAI, ChatGPT has sort of become like when you say I want a Coke in the south of the U.S., what that really means is I'd like some soda, I'd like some pop, right?
Yeah, ChatGPT is becoming kind of like
it's kind of a
the
generic
verb, term, adjective, and all the above, right?
But if you think about the whole world has changed. And by the way, AI won't become any less interesting than it is today. Tomorrow it's going to be better. In fact, last week I would have told you some things that I thought were true. That
And now they are magnitudes different.
No, they're different, right? And so, boy, the beginning of learning is humility, isn't it? Right? So our team tries to help people get better answers. By the way, here's a secret to data science. Don't tell anyone. Wait, we're on a podcast, right? This is a secret. Great data science requires what?
Great data.
Great data and
Structured data.
and great science.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. By the way, some people, I think John Francis might say, also a whole bunch of compute, right? If you think about now this whole NVIDIA, one of the most valuable companies on this planet or any planet, the notion that GPUs are required to help us get to better answers. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, we've been using artificial intelligence at General Motors, many companies, for decades. If you think about machine learning.
I mean, I remember a class on 2001, you sent Prolog, something like that?
Sure, Prolog. Remember we had to decide, it has 4 legs, is it a chair, or is it a cow? You guys remember that?
Those exercises,
yeah,
I remember.
And by the way, it was Borland. I think Borland had Prolog that we could buy for $99, which is I was a college student, so I was very excited about that. Well, maybe not. I might have been out of college by then. So if you think about machine learning, patterns, when you go to Amazon and you buy something, you go, hey, I just bought a mower, and then usually they would say, do you also want to buy some extra blades for your mower? Okay? That's how we've been using data science for a long time. But that's not how you used it with your Gmail account yesterday.
Not at all. No.
It said, here's a guy who speaks more than one language, good on you. I barely speak English. Yeah. And you said, I want to make sure my email is well formed and maybe written as well as possible. I wrote a poem for my wife.
Oh, sweet.
It always involves a monkey.
Okay.
That way she knows if I'm being held hostage and I send her a poem that doesn't have a monkey in it, she'll know it's not me. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, like a proof of life.
Well, you will have to change the animal now because it's out of the box. The monkey's out of the box.
No monkeys. So if I'm kidnapped, no monkeys. Blink twice if you're being held hostage. So the funny thing is, I used to work with Bill Gates a lot when I first was at Microsoft, and he would ask us a question. He would say, what tools and software and things are you guys using at home that you can't use at Microsoft? It's an interesting question. Because if you think about Xbox, by the way, Xbox just started as a PC with an attitude, but it became quite a bit more than that, right? If you think about OpenAI tools, if you think about Claude, Perplexity, Bolt, there's so many amazing tools out there. Many of us get to use things at home that we can't use at work yet, right? By the way, that's important. Enterprises have to keep things safe. So it's great to see Barack and John Francis working together on things like how do we get the foundation right? So how do we get the base knowledge correct, using the right algorithms, and we allow folks at GM to do a lot of very cool things. By the way, I'm not an official spokesman of GM. I'm just here talking about AI with some friends of mine in the tech industry.
And for the record, I have so many questions about some of the cool things in GM, but it's like, we have to use our imaginations.
I can't tell you any secrets, but we have great engineers in the company, and we have had since before you and I were born. Okay, but like we give them great tools, we give them machine tools. We used to, by the way, have you remember slide rules and then calculators and then right. So as we think of the advancement of tools, how do we help people become better at what they do? Now, do you have a hobby outside of podcasting and the work that you do here? Is there something that you do for fun?
Yeah, I mean, and you're gonna get great examples out of that, like languages or reading. Novels, books, in general.
And have you ever tried to read a Russian novel in original Russian?
No, I have tried. This is a funny thing. The official translations, like, I don't know, the Karamazov brothers, things like that.
Yeah, sure.
I still couldn't get it. and I used some AI, like, could you condense this? Because I'm not getting the message. That I don't know, the lexic was peculiar.
Yes.
Probably imported from Russian, and like the words do not flow in the same way, or I don't know. Even in English, reading Orwell is not the same structure.
It's better today than it was last week. So here's the interesting thing. In our world, so you've been in the tech world a long time. You've seen many things, and we would say maybe the internet was a big breakthrough. The cloud certainly was a big breakthrough in my world, probably.
Yeah.
But I've never had a moment where I go to bed on Sunday and I wake up a few hours later, and now Claude is able to write 95% of Claude code. Or I had some students that Ian and I were working with at Northwestern University last week in a mentorship program. They were writing a pizza application to build really good pizza, not mediocre pizza, but so good it would win awards in Italy. Okay?
Okay.
And they'd never made pizza before. These are computer science students, great kids. Professor Todd Warren was a mentor there.
I have so many questions. How do you put into the AI the flavor part for a computer that is...
Well, but so we started with building a locus of information using Pizza Rock, which is a restaurant chain in Las Vegas and around the West, with a gentleman who has won best pizza in the world from the Italian Pizza Rating Agency. So we started with a locus of information. The students then took that information, and by the way, we didn't tell them how to do them. We told them what we wanted: great pizza, amazing home pizza without a lot of cost, right? And we built a notebook with Google, the Google Notebook application. If you haven't used it, it takes data in, it translates it into voice. It allows you to have a conversation with that notebook, and they learned about great pizza this way. Then they built an app with Claude. And by the way, if I think of tools, and I like to always, you all know I do a thing called tools I'm using this week, so I probably should. I've got almost no followers on YouTube. My wife keeps unfollowing me. That's probably why. So the tools that these students, we introduce them to, are tools that I use every day. And I get to use them at General Motors because I don't put any private General Motors data in there. So I start with Perplexity because it's really a good search engine. It's pretty amazing. I then move to Claude, and I become a huge fan of doing deeper, like the lab version of Claude. I sometimes then take the same prompt about a prototype, and I demo a lot of things. I try to explain to people demos with working code. So I might use Claude, Replit, Bolt, V0, Lovable with the same prompt, right? Then I might use Windsurf, Copilot Studio, the Google Gemini stack, and I do that all almost simultaneously. So when I'm in a meeting with my customers, because they're talking about AI and they think it's a magic trick, it is magical. It's just math.
But not that type of magic.
Yeah, it's just math. I can show them, look at all the things we might do together at a prototype. Now, Leandro, when I started at Microsoft back before you were born, I suspect. Maybe
81?
To do the sort of things I can do in a meeting with my team, with my customers, would have taken me sometimes months, but usually never. Why never? It's too expensive.
Was borderline undoable, right?
It was borderline undoable. Also, we had to write specs and so by the way, this whole vibe coding is kind of cool. It's also kind of terrifying because we need to think about the pre-pend and post-pend of a project. So how do we set it up properly and all this stuff? But for non-developers who can just say, here's my idea. I'm an engineer. I work on body panels, and I have this really good idea about body panels. And I'm like, well, let's express the beauty of your brain. Let's express that to the world. By the way, it's probably not a good way to write software, but it's a great way to build a conversation, a coaching environment, a colleague that's always there that can help you.
Brainstorming.
Brainstorming, good word. By the way, not as good as kerfuffle. I mean, honestly.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's still a good one. And so I have the pleasure of working with these amazing people, and not just at GM, but in my community. I work with college students, I work with kids in robotics, I do a lot of things. I think that humans are on the earth to help humans, I think that's going to be important someday.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
maybe
someday.
today. Is today the day? I think so. And so I love the fact that I can say to a friend of mine at Rotary, or a woman who's running her Photoshop, or people who are doing, we have a group of women in our town, German Baptists, who make quilts. And I can say,
Okay.
let's create a quilt design together. And we can express in words what will come out as an object of art, right? It could be code, it could be a picture, it could be a song. Think of what that does to unleashing the power of the human spirit.
Yeah, because with all this, and I'm amazed of how many different AI technologies are you plugging together or chaining together.
Yeah.
Silly background story, it reminds me a lot of how I do video production, because on this tool I do audio, then I move this for these prompts, and then move this to the, so you pass it through the whole flow until you get to the kind of final product, because one is never happy with the last product, but you gotta say, at this point,
That's right, and I will say, and one of the things I'm talking about is, there is this bridge. You know, there's the bridge to the River Kwai, there's the bridge to Terabitha, there's the bridge too far. There's a bridge between data science that is replicable, right? So machine learning, the boring stuff that never got me invited to parties, let's be honest, right?
Yeah, probably.
And this new technology, which is generative, which means the feature is the bug. So I can generate new things every time. If I say, draw me a cartoon of a dog dancing, and give me 10 panels and do it in the style of the Jetsons, I will never get the same answer twice. Now, there are ways to fix that, but that's not actually a bug. It is, however, when it's too exciting, it's called hallucination. When it's not exciting at all, we call it ground truth and no hallucination. By the way, somewhere in between is you and I having a conversation. Yeah, so I like to say we should never let facts get in the way of the story, but that's, unless you're a data scientist, and you want to tell your boss's
the story is what is interesting here.
The story is interesting, but if you say, how many vehicles did we sell on a Tuesday, I don't need a poem about Klingons or dancing monkeys. I just need the answer.
I can tell that you have been playing around with some of these prompts.
I do love Klingon poems and dancing monkeys. And to be fair, that will probably come up again. I worry about that, but maybe too much coffee. So the thing we all have to do with each other is we have to help each other with basic understanding of what generative AI is, right? The whole community has to really be clear on what's true and what's not. The other one is, you are in charge of the art that you create. This video and this podcast that you're creating, you have a quality standard for that has your name on it, because you're a craftsperson, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't let things go out the door that are not good.
I hope. I try.
But you know what? I just got a business plan from a friend of mine. He's a wonderful Russian fellow. I love him dearly. He does not speak or write very well unless it's C++. He sent me a 205-page business plan a few months ago, and I said, dude, what's up? And he's like, it's a business plan. I want you to read it. It's for this new idea. I said, dude, You've never written longer than a telephone message or a Post-it note. And he's like, I used ChatGPT. I said, I know you did, and I love you, man. This is terrible. Everything about this is awful. It is just miserable. And so remember, the quality of the thinking. If you know something, you'll probably be better with ChatGPT or some other LLM, GPT, RAG combination. If you don't know something, it's going to be a random output. It's going to be the jetsam and flotsam of AI that we all see that's coming in our inboxes. And we're seeing these videos that are sort of random in the social media, these headless posts, and you're like, did someone just sort of accidentally puke that out?
When you did, it was kind of like a random, the Jetsons dog style, blah, blah, blah. And someone's going to say like, yeah, that's more like Flintstones than Jetsons. And that's where it's going to be like, oh.
And so I wonder what good looks like, what great looks like, what amazing looks like. Because I joke with my college, the students that I mentor, hey, all software is terrible until it's mediocre. Okay? Mm-hmm. And most software I mean, I worked at Microsoft a long time. I worked on some teams that I'm not proud of. I mean,
We know things, yeah.
I'm
Microsoft
sorry, we know
happens.
things. We can't share them here because it's just like a secret.
No, I mean,
But-
we've been around Microsoft stuff from the beginning,
yeah,
so
yeah. I mean, but
we understand.
Software is hard. Good software is really hard, and great software is very unlikely.
Mhm.
And so the fact that we have citizen data scientists and citizen creators and citizen artists and citizen musicians, I love the creativity. I want to figure out how we curate the creativity a little bit more, because I'm not sure how many more random poems. I go to Rotary every Thursday morning at 7 in the morning in my little town of Ellensburg, and I just had someone read a poem to all of us. Now, I'm pretty sure he's never read a poem to anyone before, and I'm pretty sure that it was written by ChatGPT. And it wasn't a very good poem. We love the guy, but he's not really a poet. And so we need to think about what craftsmanship is, or quality, or curation, or how we say no. Like that's a thing, and it will become increasingly a thing as we become the directors of content and creation, but not the hands-on creator.
That sounds. You're bringing a very interesting point, because we are about, because of these capabilities that we now have, it's going to be like these poems that it's not like a poet who wrote it.
That's right.
We're going to have so many of those. And I think that that's also going to be an interesting opportunity for the true poets that can polish the outcome. Leveraging this
That's right.
is where you're going to have this craftsmanship potentiated, and then you will have interesting things that, that's a poem, but it's not there yet. And
and if you think about it, so Kodak,
mhm.
it was either Kodak or Life. It tells you something, but they gave to a bunch of world-class photographers little instant cameras, and they sent them out to see if you could make great pictures with instant cameras. And the answer is you can make great photography if you're a great photographer. It doesn't matter what the camera is. If you give me a great camera, I will probably just use it to hold down my toast, because I don't really know how to take pictures very well, right? Doesn't matter. So I think as we think about how roles change and careers change, your role in how you create content will change.
Oh yeah,
And it already has.
it already has.
And if you think about, there's all these technologies and tools that allow you to do things faster. Take a clip and turn it into 50 clips. Well, I was doing this with a couple tools yesterday to help out some folks, women in data science at GM, and I got 90 terrible clips. I started with one good clip, and then I got 90 awful clips, because the AI software doesn't have any discretion. Now, there are some things that generative AI is brilliant at. There's some really good encoding exercises. There's some beautiful things that can be created. But we have to decide how we train people, bring them up. And also, what do we do with kids that are in school now? We were playing with Prolog, right? We were learning AI. A friend of mine, Heather Hinton, was my CISO at IBM, at Watson, says, I worry about people who are beginning in industry because they don't have the same apprenticeship with humans.
The foundations.
And because the answer, it's an easy button, it's a universal cheat code, as my friend Steve Hagendorfer says, but it's wired to the wrong answer unless you know what the right answer is, right? So source, and all the things we know about data science help us with this, but they still don't tell us, is the artifact going to be useful? By the way, is it going to be pleasant? Like that's a hard question. It's taste.
You remind me, and we're gonna wrap up soon. But this talk is getting super interesting. You remind me a little bit of in the days that Microsoft Word inherited the capacity to generate HTML. Like you have a Word document that could become a web page. That was awful. Those pages, yes, you could upload like a web page made in Word, but it was awful.
Although that was also a time that we had, remember banners at the top, music and the flashing lights for MySpace?
Yeah.
That was pretty ugly. My wife was on that Word team, and it's partially her fault. Sherry, I'm calling you out, girl. She did some of that. Just a little bit of it.
I mean, it empowered some people. It gave them the capability
It
to generate some web pages, but not at a professional level. I have this in my mind. It was a traumatic experience because I had to maintain a web page generated with that.
Yes.
And the experience truly, I still remember it, and not in a good way.
Well, I love Lenny's newsletter. Lenny's newsletter is a great AI newsletter. I like Matt Wolf. There's a bunch of folks I follow on YouTube. I was listening on the way over. I live on the other side of the mountains. I had a couple hours driving over here this morning. I was listening to the product owner for Claude, interviewed by Lenny, and he said, you got to be curious. You got to know what you're good at. You got to know how you want to spend your time and resources or your tokens. And don't try to do everything. Try to do something really well.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that now we can be craftspeople. We can own the outcome. But we have to maybe not do any more, don't generate.
More automated HTML
And by the way,
pages.
please, if you only take one piece of advice, don't do vibe coding unless you first do some task managers. Look at the AI task manager, look at some of the principles for setting up a good foundational application, because vibe coding is a good way of saying, I started in the middle, but I forgot about the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
So please, it's terrifying. We love you, but be kind and rewind. So
Super important.
Yeah.
So, and something that I got carried away because there's an awesome conversation. Well, I'm having a thrill here. But no, your participation at the conference. Could you share what is your participation? What
Yeah.
are you going to be presenting?
yeah, so a friend of mine, Ken Johnston, has been at TechWell for a long time. He's a dear friend from Microsoft. We've worked together for almost 30 years. And we worked together at Ford, and now I'm at GM, and he just left Ford. He's out doing consulting. And a friend of mine is also doing the keynote here, Andreas Bowman, who's a wonderful CIO, Navy SEAL, or what is he? He's Special Forces, and he's Swedish.
Nice.
The most highest ranking Special Forces guy in America. So pretty cool dude. All of us are talking about similar things, which is how do you go from the science of data science to the non-deterministic input, non-deterministic output of generative AI, and know if that is useful, if it's delightful, if you own it, what the rules are. I like to say, what's cool, what's the tool, what's the rule, what's the school.
Oh, I love it.
Those are important
You should
things.
print that on a T-shirt.
I think I could, except my T-shirts are very big, and my wife says an old grumpy guy shouldn't wear T-shirts anymore, so she made me wear a suit coat, which I think last I wore at a funeral or something. I don't normally wear suit coats.
We're gonna get you a hat at least.
A
with
hat,
that.
for sure.
I love it.
Because it's all cool. What's the tool? What's the rule? And do you need to go to school? And by the way, please all go to school, because there's some great schools to learn. I love what Google, Amazon, Microsoft, OpenAI, everybody has some really cool stuff. Go spend the first cup of coffee every morning, maybe 10, 15 minutes, doing something quietly by yourself to learn so you can be amazing publicly. So we got to fail quietly and maybe quickly so we can be amazing together. Thanks. I hope this is a great community experience. I want to support you all. And by the way, if you don't have a GM vehicle, please buy one. We would really like it when you do, and we think you're wonderful. So
My first car was a GM vehicle in Mexico, a Chevy.
A Chevy.
One that we.
Yep.
No, we don't have them anymore. But
You
was a
have
good
a
car.
wonderful team. The Chevy team in Mexico is working to improve customer service and satisfaction with some AI tools that we're helping them with. So I love that team in Mexico. They're awesome.
my first car, and I cannot tell you, was like a little battle horse. I really, really gave it a hard time, and it rocked.
It did well. That's
So-
good. Thank you.
Ads aside, GM, for if anyone wants to hear more about, because I can tell all the data science, and it's something that I think people out there need a lot of data science to start to understand what is happening with all this AI revolution,
Yep.
because that's the departure point.
Yep.
Data science, the
Yep.
models, all the vectors, all the things that are happening. Where can people find you, get in touch with you? Do you give more talks or?
Yeah, I don't typically give a lot of talks. I came to this talk because Ken and Andreas are
They
here, and they're
invited you?
dear friends. And TechWell's a cool organization. I'm on LinkedIn. Probably the easiest way is, the best way to find me is just my email address, just Bob Rapp, just my name, BOBRAPP, at either Hotmail or Gmail. By the way, if I don't know you and you have a question that I can help you with, that's great. If you're trying to sell me something, I probably will just delete the mail, because I don't have any money. I'm very poor.
Spam report
Yep.
right away.
The other thing is, I typically record 5 or 6 minutes a week on the tools that I'm using. So if you want to join me for that,
Cool.
Ken and I sometimes do it. I've a friend, Tanya, who's an awesome program manager, but different friends. I typically do a little bit on YouTube because it's nice to show a tool solving the problem in 5 minutes or so, and reach out. I'd love to be helpful, and I don't know very much more than you do, but I know different things. So together, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go together.
Your YouTube channel, Bob Rapp, as well?
Yeah, it's just Bob Rapp, but trust me, nobody follows my YouTube channel. I think I might have 50 subscribers. I probably lost a couple after this last video. Best way to find me is really just on LinkedIn, best way, and just say, hey, I saw you on TechWell, and I can point you to YouTube or other things. I'm constantly learning, and I would say that what we get to do in the next 5 years with artificial intelligence will make life amazing for many people. It might not be perfect for everyone, so let's work on how we bring the whole world together and up together, because we should have, all ships should rise together. We don't want to leave anybody behind.
So, for the record, you're about to have another subscriber. I'm going to subscribe to your channel.
Look at that. Look at that. I'm up to 56 or 7 now.
I look forward
Yeah.
to, and very intrigued of the tools, because if you keep mentioning, and
I love
you already
tools.
gave us like a big avalanche of information, of elements, how can we connect with. I hope you were paying attention, because I feel like it's a very good trail of working through AI tools and getting the best results. I loved those examples that you were giving.
Yep.
And Bob Rapp, like, subscribe, activate the bell and everything for his videos. I'm definitely, and 5 minutes long, I'm like, yeah, I can go with that.
We could do that, yeah. And I'd love to see you. I live in Ellensburg. It's a little college town. It's about 10,000 kids in college and 10,000 cowboys and ranchers, and we all get along pretty well. The other thing is, if you haven't tried it, go find yourself one of the tools I mentioned, Replit, Windsurf, Bolt, V0. And if you forget everything else I say, go subscribe to Lenny's newsletter. Lenny's newsletter has 1 million subscribers.
Oh, wow.
If you subscribe for, I think, $200 a year, by the way, I don't know Lenny, I just like him a lot, you get 6 or 8 tools for a year for free. So some of those tools, some of the tools you've heard about, Perplexity and Lovable and Bolt and Windsurf and Granola and all these other really cool, Notion and Motion and other things. Lenny has negotiated that deal. And by the way, I think it saved me this year about $10,000.
Wow.
Because I pay for all my stuff personally, because I don't want to ever have any corporate overlap with data. That's the other tip. If you're using these tools, if you're not paying the monthly subscription fee, you are the product.
Yeah.
So don't let your data out in the wild. Be very, very careful. It's your data. By the way, what makes us unique, what makes us human, is often the things that we get to keep private. So be careful, right? So.
It's a wild world out there, and always,
is.
always, just like if you have the product, we were talking earlier, if you can play local, or if you have your own data on your model and your subscription, be careful with that, because sometimes it's a company GPT, and I've heard people sending very personal and sometimes disturbing questions that don't mix them up.
The good news at GM is we keep you safe if you're doing work, but remember, we have a work life and we have a personal life, and those things, from a data point of view, never should collect. Well, thank you very much for this time.
No, it has
together.
been a blast. I'm having a hard time stopping this.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. I would, anytime I see you, I owe you a cup of coffee or tea.
No, and vice versa.
It would be great.
Awesome.
We'll break some bread together, and hopefully I could get back to Mexico City, where we have an amazing team, General Motors, and a really good Costco right across from my hotel. And remember, Americans I got to go to Costco once a week, or they take my passport away.
Yeah. We want to keep this ability to be able to come back to the country.
That really matters.
Yeah.
Because culturally, good. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Bob. It has been such a pleasure. And there you have it. This has been such a blast. I got carried away. I had some other talking points, but this was better, way, way better. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I had a blast. I hope that you did as much as I did. And well, this was our friend Bob Rapp. Awesome data scientist. Follow up with him. It sounds like he has lots of content. Like and subscribe, activate the bell on his channel, all that. And well, this is not over yet. We have one more interview and probably one more surprise at the end of the day today, so that you get an early taste of how it's going to be the official time of the conference. Stay tuned, as this is AICon USA 2025, reporting from Seattle. Stay tuned, because we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you very much, and thank you, Bob.
Gracias. Adios.
Gracias. Adiós.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.